Well, you're about to see some real food, edible food, good food. Fresh, never frozen, baby.
We can all agree that at one point in our lives, Wendy's was tasty as We've been intrigued by its square patty and its lovable creator for years. The food chain has been around since 1969 and has managed to keep a loyal following. However, like every fast food chain, Wendy's has its secrets. Then again, everyone has their secrets, and sometimes it's the secrets that make us love them more.
Selling out Deadpool?
Wendy's has done nothing but improve themselves year after year. This is why the franchise is still so popular. But after learning about some of the shady things that this restaurant has been involved in, will it still be as popular? Probably. So, here are the top 10 untold truths about Wendy's.
It's a video Wendy's employees felt they needed to share.
It's a dead roach.
Wendy's chili is made of what?
Now this is sad.
Wendy's constantly brags about their award-winning chili.
It's my jam.
However, we have to wonder, should they be bragging at all? After learning some weird facts about the chili, we gotta wonder if it should even still be on the menu. It's been reported by the Huffington Post that the company uses silicon dioxide in their chili. So that grainy look your chili has is probably just that. The chemical we're talking about is also called silica and can be found in quartz and sand. Silicon dioxide also acts as an anti-caking agent. So if you're ever wondering why your chili never clumps and always has that watery, fresh look to it, this is why. But don't hate on Wendy's too much for using an anti-caking agent, because chances are several other fast food places use it too. Really, even regular restaurants probably use it too.
But fast food doesn't have to be junk food, let's get that right.
We will admit though, that whole sand-looking thing is kinda crazy. We truly assumed that it was seasoning or maybe super small pieces of ground beef, but sand and quartz? That's a whole other level.
Can I speak to your manager, please?
Liking this video so far? Then hit that subscribe button and ring that bell to be part of our notification squad. Wendy's founder in a commercial.
Hey, where have you been all my life?
Well, I spend a lot of time in the kitchen.
The founder of Wendy's, Dave Thomas, was deep into retirement when he decided to come back and help the brand. They were having a bit of a hard time keeping up with the other fast food chains. They weren't as popular as McDonald's or Burger King or even Jack in the Box.
How dare you?
Sorry, but it's not gonna last.
What?
So, Ride or Die Thomas wasn't about to let his legacy go down in flames. He resigned in 1982, but when the popular Where's the Beef campaign ended in 1985,
Where's the beef?
the company needed a facelift. Always a dedicated employee of his own company, Thomas came out of retirement to help out. He didn't jump into commercials right away. He started off small by visiting a few restaurants first. He did the whole taking pictures with fans, kissing babies kind of thing. In 1989, he became the official spokesperson, and from there he spent a majority of the 90s representing the brand.
Years ago, my dad started a hamburger chain and named it after me.
He actually appeared in more than 800 commercials for Wendy's before going back into retirement. Thomas eventually passed away in 2002 from a tumor that he'd been battling for about 10 years. It ultimately spread to his liver and took his life. However, at the time of his passing, there were 6,000 Wendy's restaurant locations around the US and Canada, so at the very least, his legacy is secured. Wendy's is a bit dicey when it comes to the LGBTQ community.
Who doesn't want to wear the ribbon?
We all know that before Ellen DeGeneres had this insanely popular talk show, she had a sitcom. It was called Ellen, and it had some pretty decent ratings. Then, DeGeneres came out, and let's just say, all hell broke loose.
Just a little surprise.
In addition to her show being pulled, the actor was blacklisted and treated as a social pariah, and one of the organizations that bailed on DeGeneres and her show was the restaurant chain Wendy's.
Sorry, I'm a bit lost.
Oh, me too.
Wendy's pulled all their support from the show, which, to be honest, was only advertising during commercial breaks. Regardless, without good ads and a lack of support, the show went under pretty quick. The LGBTQ community quickly boycotted the food chain. We have to be honest, we never took founder Dave Thomas to be a hater. He has such a loving and accepting face, so we have a hard time believing he had a hand in this. We think it was more so whoever took over. That being said, he was the face of the company and took most of the backlash. This isn't the first or the last time a restaurant chain decided to put their controversial views out there.
Are you kidding me?
And this isn't the first or last time that a mass of people will boycott them for doing so. Wendy's had the first dollar menu.
We make that dollar work harder for you every day with Wendy's 99-cent everyday value menu.
McDonald's dollar menu is probably one of the most common and most loved of all the dollar menus. Burger King is probably coming in second.
Hello?
However, most people don't know that it was Wendy's that pioneered the popularity of the dollar menu in the first place. The franchise first started their dollar menu in 1989. Back then, it wasn't known as a dollar menu. It was just a menu where every item cost the same price, 99 cents. Wendy's also didn't call their menu the dollar menu, and they still don't. They actually called it their value menu. So, in 1998, Burger King decided to follow suit, and then in 2002, McDonald's jumped on the bandwagon as well. Better late than never, right? Wendy's still has a value menu, but it's now called the everyday value menu. We aren't really sure the everyday was needed, but okay. The menu has even upgraded itself from when it originally started. Well, we would hope so anyways. They have nachos, nuggets, wraps, hearty burgers that are actually dressed as regular burgers with tomatoes and lettuce, etc. They even have their signature Frosty on there. There's no question that they're still in the running for one of the best dollar menus out there. You can actually get a whole meal for $5 and some change.
A quarter pound of Wendy's fresh, never frozen beef and melty cheese, all for just $1.
Wendy's original location is no more.
Shut the place down.
In 2007, the original Wendy's location was closed. It was located in Columbus, Ohio, which is where Dave Thomas was born and raised. The location was open for 38 years. However, once they merged with Canadian coffee chain Tim Hortons, there's a significant drop in sales. The decision was eventually made to just close the doors and let it go. Dare we accuse the popular Canadian coffee chain of ruining the founding Wendy's location? It seems somewhat rash to just get rid of the first ever Wendy's spot. One would assume that there should have been a bigger fight to keep it open, maybe even make it a historical site. It's clearly too late for all that now, but we have to wonder if any of that came into discussion when the decision was being made to shut it down. The building was also eventually knocked down and rebuilt. It cost $1.7 million to renovate, and it's now the headquarters of the city's Catholic Foundation. We really thought that Ohio would rally around a place that kind of put them on the map. However, we can't really blame them. There are so many other tasty fast food chains.
I keep telling him he's gotta try basketball.
No, I don't know that.
We can understand why and how Wendy's fell by the wayside in this case. Wendy's breakfast?
Hi, we have a brand new breakfast.
And we're breaking new ground. We are opening new worlds.
Did you know that Wendy's serves breakfast? We sure didn't. Apparently, starting in 1985, Wendy's debuted their breakfast menu. It was an epic flop, and the company decided to just stick with burgers and fries. Oh, and Frosties too. In 2007, they decided to give it another go, because why not? McDonald's has breakfast, Burger King has breakfast, even Taco Bell has breakfast. Yet, they failed again. But this time, instead of cutting all restaurants off of their luxurious breakfast, they decided to give a handful of restaurants the pleasure of continuing to serve it.
Here you go, buddy. Breakfast of champions.
About a dozen restaurants scattered throughout the US currently serve the breakfast menu. So, what does it consist of? Biscuit sandwiches, breakfast burritos, muffins, and hash browns. It does sound kinda lackluster, and to be honest, the bread for the sandwiches looks kinda dry. They also recently rolled out a panini though. The good thing about their breakfast is that it tends to be lower calorie, and according to loyal eaters, it always comes out fresh. Due to lack of interest, it's made on demand during the breakfast hours.
I know, it's great, right?
Another!
We can only assume that this is the best it'll get for this brand in their breakfast. At least they know how to quit while they're ahead. Wendy's kind of invented the drive-thru.
It started how all great things start, with meat and fire.
Back in 1971, Wendy's was ahead of their time. They came up with this crazy idea that would allow people to not have to leave their car to get their food. We now know it as a drive-thru. Every fast food place has one, and some places that aren't even fast food have figured out how to utilize this invention. It looks like Dave Thomas was really trying to be the first for everything. McDonald's didn't catch on to the drive-thru window until about 1975. There's still a debate as to who really invented the first drive-thru window though. Some folks say it was a place called the Pig Stand way back in 1931. The founder saw the need for a faster way to serve his customers, and of course, he found a way that worked for him. Then in the 1950s, both Jack in the Box and Burger King experimented with the idea. However, they found it too complicated and it didn't work, so they jumped ship pretty quick. By the time Wendy's rolled around and took control of the idea, they'd managed to perfect it. Well, perfect it for them anyways. They've been utilizing it since.
You ever tried shawarma? There's a shawarma joint about 2 blocks from here. I don't know what it is, but I want to try it.
Letters to Wendy's.
My boyfriend's mom, she called up later and was like, is there mice in your store? And the manager at the time, Lillian, she denied that.
Wendy's has a book. Well, not Wendy's, but it's written by a man obsessed with Wendy's. His name is Joe Wenderoth, and the book is called Letters to Wendy's. He took it upon himself to write an entire novel based off of 4 things: burgers, Frosties, erotica, and consumerism.
Now you know what's in that chili.
That ain't black beans, homie. Yes, because all those things naturally go together, obviously. According to Amazon.com, wendy's.com, the book is pretty interesting. The reviews range from love to confusion. Letters to Wendy's is an outrageous, tragic, genre-bending novel written over the course of a year on comment cards from the fast food chain restaurant Wendy's. Through the letters, the book traces a year in the life and thoughts of an unnamed narrator obsessed not only by Biggies and Frosties, but also by consumerism, pornography, and mortality. We have a few questions about this book. How does the franchise feel about this? Wenderoth is associating their restaurant with salacious things like adult content.
As for her number, you moron.
He's also mixing it into consumerism, and he's doing this all on Wendy's comment cards. The book was released in 2004. The author, Wenderoth, has gone on to write a few other books, but we have a feeling he'll forever be known for writing a book about a fast food chain.
Ta-da!
Wendy's fired an old lady.
One more time.
Where's the beef?
Wendy's has had one of the most popular advertising campaigns of all time. We all know it, have seen it, or at the very least heard about it. The Where's the Beef campaign dominated the 80s. Even to this day, society still references it, and Wendy's, of course, saw an increase in sales. The campaign featured this adorable little old lady named Clara Peller.
Where's the beef? Yeah. Hey, where's the beef?
She was 84 years old and had been chosen to do the campaign after randomly auditioning. However, after a year of going hard for Wendy's, she was fired.
You're fired.
Why?
In 1985, after Peller decided she was super famous, she appeared in another commercial, and Wendy's wasn't having it. It wasn't just any commercial, it was a commercial for Prego spaghetti sauce. In addition to that betrayal, in that commercial, she actually said she had finally found the beef.
I finally found it.
That was a straight up dig, and of course, it backfired on her. The actress went on to keep a little bit of her fame and eventually passed away in 1987. For a little old lady, she certainly had a lot of drama in her later life. At least she went out with a bang. That's more than a lot of other people her age can say. Wendy's has a secret menu.
What about protein?
Yeah, what about protein?
Want to try something out of the ordinary? Well, Wendy's may be able to help you because they have a secret menu. Like many fast food establishments, their secret menu has a lot going on. According to employees, some of the secret menu items include a 1-pound meat cube burger and a barnyard burger which has beef, bacon, and chicken in it. The secret menu items are pretty protein-packed. A lot of them have 2 to 3 different meats on one sandwich. Clearly, this can be highly caloric. But because you can control a lot of what happens to your secret menu options, you can get a lighter sandwich and still be satisfied. One of those sandwiches is called the Valley Crispy Chicken Sandwich. It comes with mayo, tomato, lettuce, and bacon. We also assume that you can ask for grilled chicken if you're trying to stick to a diet. And like we mentioned, there's also this sandwich called the Meat Cube. It's worth noting because quite frankly, it sounds like it can't be healthy for anyone. It's 1 pound of meat, and to make matters even worse, there's cheese in between each slice. Come on, you know you want to try it, or at least watch someone else try it so you can avoid the heart attack.
You should have gone for the head.
Before hitting the drive-thru, hit that subscribe button and then ring that bell to be part of our notification squad. And while you're here, check out some of our other great videos.